Superiority and evil in the Talmud, Torah, and Koran. Middle East religions as stupid cults. Extremist Jews and Muslims fail because they refuse to accept the fact that they are human beings like everybody else. Enlightened people realize we're all human beings stuck here together on planet Earth, all of us with problems and fears. People in cults think they're better than everyone else, which is the first of Dante Alighieri's 7 deadly sins, pride. If the people could figure it out and stop listening to this propaganda, we would all respect each other and live decent lives as a united human race. You're the loser who let them brainwash you into thinking we live in democracies, but in reality, a small group of elitists run the world. Brother Nathaniel at RealJewNews.com said he was born into the cult of Judaism. They tried to steal his natural joy for life, so he left them. As a teenager, they wouldn't let him sing Christmas carols because they're Christian and he was a Jew. His father wouldn't let him read a Bible, so he did. The cult he was born into did not give him the freedom he had as an individual in the universe by birthright. Religious cult leaders try to hijack that out of us at birth. I found at least 5 websites dedicated to Jewish news which are propaganda directed at the Jewish myth of special people. As long as people can't see that they're individuals, a part of the entire human race, they will be doomed to think they're better than anyone not part of their fake group. These stupid religions are no different than the Masons, a bunch of old men who think they're special because they do some stupid rituals and have secret hand signs. Some people say the Masons look harmless at the lower levels, but at the highest degrees, they worship Lucifer, the fallen angel. When Jordan Maxwell was alive, he said he talked to a rabbi who told him that King David and his son Solomon never existed. He said it's a made-up story. They're fighting over a Temple Mount in Jerusalem which has a mosque on it right now, but Jews say it's the site of Solomon's ancient temple and want to rebuild it there. I say blow it up and make it a park in order to get rid of these archaic myths. The Vikings had their goods like Odin and Thor. Now in the modern world, their Scandinavian descendants don't care about that foolishness. Why can't Jews and Muslims get over their old fake religious cultural groups that they think gives them a privileged position in the afterlife? The internet is full of critical analyses of all religions and cults. Just type in Judaism fake religion, Islam false religion. The biggest cause of tribal conflict among communities or groups is a sense of apartheid or specialness. You think you're better than the other groups. The muddle of good and evil in the holy books. I was a kid in Catholic when I read about Abraham getting ready to sacrifice his son Isaac. It was a trick God pulled to test Abraham's faith, but luckily they found a lamb caught in a thicket and killed it was a sacrifice. I'm a 7-year-old kid looking around to see if any of my classmates finds this funny. Nobody batted an eye. This was the beginning of my dissension. I started playing trumpet in grade 4 and we played the song Joshua in the Battle of Jericho. I read the book of Joshua to see that God commanded Joshua to cross the river Jordan, then kill all the residents of Jericho to the last woman, child, and animal. That's a savage, not a loving God. Beyond the animal sacrifices and genocide, they have several morally compromised ideas like slavery and rape. If a man rapes a girl, his punishment is to marry her, but if he doesn't, she is forever unclean. So if a woman gets raped, she is now unsuitable for marriage because some brute savaged her. The 10 Commandments in the book of Exodus are a good start to a moral standard, but the Old Testament is all over the place, written by a bunch of individuals, some of whom were less than stellar human beings, which is why we should not put too much credence into some of those old holy books. The Talmud is 2,117 double-sided pages long. There are many statements in there proclaiming the superiority of the Jew to the non-Jew, who they refer to with names like Goyim, cattle, Amalek and Edom. They're allowed to do evil things to non-Jews without any punishment. It's there in the Talmud. Hardly any Jews bother reading it, but it's there as dogma, in print. The Muslims are stupid too, worshipping the same Abrahamic God called Allah as the Judeo-Christian God. Muhammad created this religion in the 7th century after Christ. There is plenty of Muslim critique online where many people trash this religion as the stupidest religion ever, with YouTube channels like Apostate Prophet and Ex-Muslim Sahil Uncensored. There are some straight out stupid things, not evil per se, just stupid, like Muhammad said that the sun sets into a muddy pool every night. Koran, Surah Al-Kahf, 86. Between Judaism and Islam, both are hypocritical, contradictory cults. I found statements in each of their holy books, Talmud, Torah, Koran, where they say be loving and help others while also saying be mean and merciless to your enemies. Love your fellow man in the Talmud, Torah, and Koran. To find loving verses, type this into search engines. Love in the Talmud. Love in the Torah. Love in the Koran. It seems to me that the Torah says love your fellow man while the Talmud says love your fellow Jew, not humanity at large. sefaria.org/topics/love-your-as-yourself?tab=notable-sources. Talmud. Shabbat 31a. Rabbi Hillel. What is hateful to yourself, do not do to your fellow man. Halakha, you should not take revenge or nurse hatred against your fellow countrymen. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. Let your brother live with you. Torah. Leviticus 19:18. Love your neighbor as yourself. Koran. Nobel Koran, 49:13. O mankind! Allah created you from a single pair, of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other, not that you despise each other. Verily the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is, he who is, the most righteous of you. And Allah has full knowledge and is well acquainted, with all things. Find evil verses in holy books. As far as finding evil stuff in holy books, go online and type these terms in. Evil verses in the Talmud. Evil verses in the Torah. Evil verses in the Koran. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, a guide on how to take the human race over. See a copy of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion at archive.org. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a book written around 1897 about a plan by a group of Jews to subvert the world and take it over through underhanded means over time, because they, the Jews, believe they're the chosen race and have to pave the way for the return of the Messiah. It's been called a hoax, but it's not, because it's so elaborately written that no one would ever wasted their time writing a book like this as a hoax. It has 24 steps on how to quietly take over the world. The basic doctrine. Economic wars. Methods of conquest. Materialism replace religion. Despotism and modern progress. Takeover technique. Worldwide wars. Provisional government. Re-education. Preparing for power. The totalitarian state. Control of the press. Distractions. Assault on religion. Ruthless suppression. Brainwashing. Abuse of authority. Arrest of opponents. Rulers and people. Financial program. Loans and credit. Power of gold. Instilling obedience. Qualities of the ruler. A Manifesto to the Jews of the Universe by Adolf Kremius, 1880. All Jews for one, and one for all. The union which we desire to found will not be a French, English, Irish, or German union, but a Jewish one, a universal one. Other peoples and races are divided into nationalities, we alone have not co-citizens, but exclusively co-religionaries. A Jew will under no circumstances become the friend of a Christian or a Muslim before the moment arrives when the light of the Jewish faith, the only religion of reason, will shine all over the world. Scattered amongst other nations, who from time immemorial were hostile to our rights and interests, we desire primarily to be and to remain immutably Jews. Our nationality is the religion of our fathers, and we recognize no other nationality. We are living in foreign lands, and cannot trouble about the mutable ambitions of countries entirely alien to us, while our own moral and material problems are endangered. The Jewish teaching must cover the whole earth. Israelites. No matter where fate should lead, though scattered all over the earth, you must always consider yourselves members of a chosen race. If you realize that the faith of your forefathers is your only patriotism, if you recognize that, notwithstanding the nationalities you have embraced, you always remain and everywhere form one and only nation. If you believe that Jewry only is the one and only religious and political truth. If you are convinced of this, you, Israelites of the universe, then come and give ear to our appeal and prove to us your consent. Our cause is great and holy, and its success is guaranteed. Catholicism, our immemorial enemy, is lying in the dust, mortally wounded in the head. The net which Israel is throwing over the globe of the earth is widening and spreading daily, and the momentous prophecies of our holy books are at last to be realized. The time is near when Jerusalem will become the house of prayer for all nations and peoples, and the banner of Jewish monodeity will be unfurled and hoisted on the most distant shores. Let us avail ourselves of all circumstances. Our might is immense, learn to adopt this for our cause. What have you to be afraid of? The day is not distant when all the riches and treasures of the earth will become the property of the children of Israel. The Jew regards all non-Jews as foreigners, and he is an alien everywhere. Evil verses in the Talmud. When the Messiah comes, according to the Talmud, all non-Jews will become servants of the Jews, Eruvin 43b1 note 8 and Shabbat 32b, Judaism.stack exchange.com/question/117716/concerning-Gentiles. Although the non-Jew has the same body structure as the Jew, they compare with the Jew as a monkey to a human. Talmud, Skeen Lichoth Havruth, p. 250b. The souls of non-Jews come from impure spirits and are called pigs. Talmud, Jalkut Rabini Gadol 12b. It is permitted to take the body and life of a Gentile. Talmud, Sefer Ikarim 3c25. It is the law to kill anyone who denies the Torah. The Christians belong to the denying ones of the Torah. Talmud, Koskan Hamishpad 425 Haga 425. 5. The Jews are called human beings, but the non-Jews are not humans. They are beasts. Talmud, Baba Mizia, 114b. The Akam, non-Jew, is like a dog. Yes, the scripture teaches to honor the dog more than the non-Jew. Talmud, Eregit Raski Irad. 2230. A pregnant non-Jew is no better than a pregnant animal. Talmud, Koskan Hamishpad 405. The souls of non-Jews come from impure spirits and are called pigs. Talmud, Jalkut Rabini Gadol 12b. Jesus is in hell, being boiled in hot excrement. Talmud, Gittin 57a. Jesus, Yeshua, was executed because he practiced sorcery. It is taught that on the eve of Passover Jesus was hung, and 40 days before this the proclamation was made, Jesus is to be stoned to death because he has practiced sorcery and has lured the people to idolatry. He was an enticer, and of such thou shalt not pity or condone. Talmud, Sanhedrin 43a. The elders were once sitting in the gate when two young lads passed by, one covered his head and the other uncovered his head. Of him who uncovered his head Rabbi Eliezer remarked that he is a bastard. Rabbi Joshua remarked that he is the son of Anita, a child conceived during a woman's menstrual period, i.e., filth. Talmud, Kala 51a. If you eat with a Gentile, it is the same as eating with a dog. Talmud, Tosapoth, Jebamoth 94b. If a Jew has a non-Jewish servant or maid who dies, one should not express sympathy to the Jew. You should tell the Jew, God will replace your loss, just as if one of his oxen or asses had died. Talmud, Jordia 377, 1. Sexual intercourse between Gentiles is like intercourse between animals. Talmud, Talmud Sanhedrin 74b. It is permitted to take the body and the life of a Gentile. Talmud, Sefer Ikarim 3c25. A heretic Gentile you may kill outright with your own hands. Talmud, Avodah Zarah, 4b. Every Jew, who spills the blood of the godless, non-Jews, is doing the same as making a sacrifice to God. Talmud, Bamidbar C21 and Jalkut 772. If a Jew is tempted to do evil, he should go to a city where he is not known and do the evil there. Talmud, Mod Katan 17a. Whosoever disobeys the rabbis deserves death and will be punished by being boiled in hot excrement in hell. Talmud, Arabin 21b. If a heathen, Gentile, hits a Jew, the Gentile must be killed. Talmud, Sanhedrin 58b. A Jew need not pay a Gentile, Kudhian, the wages owed him for work. Talmud, Sanhedrin 57a. If an ox of an Israelite gores an ox of a Canaanite, there is no liability, but if an ox of a Canaanite gores an ox of an Israelite, the payment is to be in full. Talmud, Baba Kama 37b. If a Jew finds an object lost by a Gentile, heathen, it does not have to be returned. Talmud, Baba Mizia 24a. Talmud, Baba Kama 113b. God will not spare a Jew who marries his daughter to an old man or takes a wife for his infant son or returns a lost article to a Kudhian, a non-Jew, usually a Christian. Talmud, Sanhedrin 76a. The Gentiles are outside the protection of the law and God has exposed their money to Israel. Talmud, Baba Kama 37b. Jews may use lies, subterfuges, to circumvent a Gentile. Talmud, Baba Kama 113a. All Gentile children are animals. Talmud, Yebamith 98a. Gentile girls are in a state of niddah, filth, from birth. Talmud, Avodah Zarah 36b. Gentiles prefer sex with cows. Talmud, Avodah Zarah 22a-22b. Jesus' mother was a whore, she who was the descendant of princes and governors played the harlot with carpenters. Talmud, Sanhedrin 106a. Jesus' mother, Miriam the hairdresser, had sex with many men. Talmud, Shabbath 104b of the Sonsino edition in footnote number 2. He, Jesus, and his disciples practiced sorcery and black magic, led Jews astray into idolatry, and were sponsored by foreign, Gentile powers for the purpose of subverting Jewish worship. Talmud, Sanhedrin 43a. He, Jesus, was sexually immoral, worshipped statues of stone, a brick is mentioned, was cut off from the Jewish people for his wickedness, and refused to repent. Talmud, Sanhedrin 107b, Sota 47a. He, Jesus, learned witchcraft in Egypt and, to perform miracles, used procedures that involved cutting his flesh, which is also explicitly banned in the Bible. Talmud, Shabbos 104b. Christians, Minim, and others who reject the Talmud will go to hell and be punished there for all generations. Talmud, Rosh Hashanah 17a. To heal his flesh a Jew should take dust that lies within the shadow of an outdoor toilet, mix with honey and eat it. Talmud, Gittin 69a. Adam had sexual intercourse with all the animals in the Garden of Eden. Talmud, Yebamith 63a. A Jew may marry a 3-year-old girl. Talmud, Sanhedrin 55b. A Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old. Talmud, Sanhedrin 54b. When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl it is nothing. Talmud, Kethuboth 11b. A woman who had intercourse with a beast is eligible to marry a Jewish priest. A woman who has sex with a demon is also eligible to marry a Jewish priest. Talmud, Yebamith 59b. There is not a whore in the world that the Talmudic sage Rabbi Eliezer has not had sex with. On one of his whorehouse romps, Rabbi Eliezer learned that there was one particular prostitute residing in a whorehouse near the sea, who would receive a bag of money for her services. He took a bag of money and went to her, crossing 7 rivers to do so. During their intercourse the prostitute farted. After this the whore told Rabbi Eliezer, just as this gas will never return to my anus, Rabbi Eliezer will never get to heaven. Talmud, Avodah Zarah 17a. No rabbi can ever go to hell. Talmud, Haggadah 27a. A rabbi debates God and defeats him. God admits the rabbi won the debate. Bavo Mizia 59b. On coming from a privy, outdoor toilet, a man should not have sexual intercourse till he has waited long enough to walk half a mile, because the demon of the privy is with him for that time. If he does, his children will be epileptic. Talmud, Gittin 70a. And so says the rabbis. To heal the disease of pleurisy, catarrh, a Jew should take the excrement of a white dog and knead it with balsam, but if he can possibly avoid it he should not eat the dog's excrement as it loosens the limbs. Talmud, Gittin 69b. A Jewish man is obligated to say the following prayer every day: "Thank you God for not making me a Gentile, a woman or a slave." Talmud, Minahath 43b 44a. The voice of Jacob. This is the cry caused by the Emperor Vespasian, who killed in the city of Bethar 400,000 myriads. Myriad means the number 10,000, or as some say, 4,000 myriads. Talmud, Gittin 57b. Anyone, even a Jewish man, who reveals this Talmudic teaching about non-Jews deserves death, since revealing it makes Gentiles wrathful and causes the repression of Judaism. Talmud, Barakoth 58a. If a heathen smites a Jew, he is worthy of death, for it is written, "And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian." Talmud, Sanhedrin 58b. Where a suit arises between an Israelite and a heathen, if you can justify the former according to the laws of Israel, justify him and say, "This is our law." So also if you can justify him by the laws of the heathens, justify him and say to the other party, "This is your law." But if this cannot be done, we use subterfuges to circumvent him. Talmud, Bab Kama 113a. Evil verses in the Torah. evilbible.com/do-not-ignore-old-testament/evils-of-the-Torah. God entraps humans by placing the tree of knowledge in the garden and telling Adam and Eve not to eat of it. Genesis 2:16-17. God commands that all women must have dangerous childbirths because Eve ate the fruit. Genesis 3:16. God caused sibling rivalry by favoring Abel over Cain. Genesis 4:3-5. God intentionally killed every man, woman, and child on the planet except for 8 people in the Great Flood. Genesis 7:23. God commands Hagar go back into slavery and bear children for her master though she does not want to. Genesis 16:7-9. God burns down a city, women and children included, simply because they were supposedly homosexual. Genesis 19:23-25. Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and that the Lord slew him. How was wicked? The Bible doesn't give us this bit of information, only that was wicked in the sight of the Lord. Genesis 38:7. God murders Onan for refusing to commit incest with his sister-in-law. Genesis 38:10. God punishes children for the sins of their fathers, unto the 3rd and 4th generations. Exodus 25:34:7. God endorses slavery. Exodus 21:2-6. God sanctioned the selling of one's daughter. Exodus 21:7. God orders the death of witches, sorceresses, and anyone who practices magic. Exodus 22:18. God ordered to be killed 3,000 Israelites for worshipping a golden calf. Exodus 32:27. God commands death for cursing out one's parents and death for adultery. Leviticus 20:9-10. God is a homophobe, or at the very least, a bigot. Leviticus 20:13. Handicapped people must not approach the altar. Leviticus 21:16-23. And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. Leviticus 26:30. God ordered and allowed human sacrifices. Leviticus 27:28-29. God buries alive Korah and his family. Numbers 16:27. God killed 250 Levite princes who disagreed with Moses' leadership. Later he put a plague upon 14,700 Jews who thought there was something wrong in killing 250 princes. Numbers 16:35. God destroyed the Canaanites at Hormah as a favor to the Jews, Numbers 21:1-3. God destroyed the Amorites at Heshbon including the men, the women, and the little ones. Numbers 21:27-35. God commands Moses to kill all the Midianite people including children and women. To top it off he commands that the virgins be saved for later raping by Moses' soldiers, Numbers 31:17-18. God ordered Moses' army to destroy 60 cities, killing all the women and children within, Deuteronomy 3:3-7. God ordered the Israelites to kill all the people of 7 nations. He says to show no mercy unto them, Deuteronomy 7:12. God orders that we kill everything that breathes in the cities that he gives us for an inheritance, Deuteronomy 20:16. A bastard can't attend church even to his 10th generation. Deuteronomy 23:2. Slavery in the Torah. 44 Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you, from them you may buy slaves. 45 You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. 46 You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, Leviticus 25:44-46. 20 Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result. 21 But they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. Exodus 21:20-21. Exodus 21:232. 2 If you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years. But in the 7th year, he shall go free, without paying anything. 3 If he comes alone, he is to go free alone, but if he has a wife when he comes, she is to go with him. 4 If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her master, and only the man shall go free. 5 But if the servant declares, I love my master and my wife and children and do not want to go free. 6 Then his master must take him before the judges. He shall take him to the door or the doorpost and pierce his ear with an awl. Then he will be his servant for life. 7 If a man sells his daughter as a servant, she is not to go free as male servants do. 8 If she does not please the master who has selected her for himself, he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners, because he has broken faith with her. 9 If he selects her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. 10 If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and marital rights. 11 If he does not provide her with these 3 things, she is to go free, without any payment of money. 26 An owner who hits a male or female slave in the eye and destroys it must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye. 27 And an owner who knocks out the tooth of a male or female slave must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth. 32 If the bull gores a male or female slave, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver to the master of the slave, and the bull is to be stoned to death. Evil verses in the Koran. wiki-top.io/verses_10_verses_in_the_chu_r%sign27 and.html. Men are the maintainers of women because Allah has made some of them to excel others and because they spend out of their property. The good women are therefore obedient, guarding the unseen as Allah has guarded, and, as to those on whose part you fear desertion, admonish them, and leave them alone in the sleeping places and beat them. Then if they obey you, do not seek a way against them, surely Allah is high, great. Koran 4:34. Cut off their hands. Koran 5:38. The punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger, and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is, execution, or crucifixion, or the cutting off of hands and feet from opposite sides, or exile from the land. That is their disgrace in this world, and a heavy punishment is theirs in the hereafter. Koran 5:33. A man may marry 4 wives. Koran 4:3. Such of your women as have passed the age of monthly courses, for them the prescribed period, if ye have any doubts, is 3 months, and for those who have no courses, it is the same for those who carry life within their wombs, their period is until they deliver their burdens, and for those who fear Allah, He will make their path easy. Koran 65:4. O Prophet! We have made lawful to thee thy wives to whom thou hast paid their dowers, and those whom thy right hand possesses out of the prisoners of war whom Allah has assigned to thee, and daughters of thy paternal uncles and aunts, and daughters of thy maternal uncles and aunts, who migrated from Makkah with thee, and any believing woman who dedicates her soul to the Prophet if the Prophet wishes to wed her, this only for thee, and not for the believers, at large. We know what we have appointed for them as to their wives and the captives whom their right hands possess, in order that there should be no difficulty for thee. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Koran 33:50. And you know well the story of those among you who broke Sabbath. We said to them, be apes despised and hated by all. Thus we made their end a warning to the people of their time and succeeding generation, and an admonition for God-fearing people. Koran 2:65. Allah has not made for any man two hearts within him, nor has He made your wives whose backs you liken to the backs of your mothers as your mothers, nor has He made those whom you assert to be your sons your real sons. These are the words of your mouths, and Allah speaks the truth and He guides to the way. Koran 33:4. A woman is only half the worth of a man in terms of witness. Koran 2:282. A woman inherits half of what a man inherits. Koran 4:11. Fight those who do not believe in Allah, nor in the latter day, nor do they prohibit what Allah and His Messenger have prohibited, nor follow the religion of truth, out of those who have been given the book, until they pay the tax in acknowledgement of superiority and they are in a state of subjection. Koran 9:29. thereligionofpeace.com/pages/Quran/violence.aspx. Quran.com. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Islamic_views_on_slavery. Questionsonislam.com